Reacting live to a Junkrat rework idea. I have not read this yet. If you want to send me your own rework ideas or maybe some hot takes, join my Discord in the description down below. And if you like this stuff, I have plenty of others of these on my channel. So if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor and subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so Junkrat rework. Let's talk about real quick before we go into this what I think is wrong with Junkrat, right? Junkrat is super spammy. He lost his identity of like that kind of faux dive kind of character, and now he just literally can't. He can't really do that. So the fun part of his kit is kind of gone. It's not really. It's not gone. It's just kind of not usable. The fun stuff about Junkrat is being able to fly around with mines and be this big disruptive force. But I think the power of that kind of one shot was a little too just frustrating because he just comes from nowhere and you just kind of explode. I think also with Junkrat, some of his trap is just a worthless ability. And it's just like super dumb. It's a gameplay loop that just isn't fun, just trying to scour the ground to make sure you're not going to run into it. And the fact that Junkrat can just kind of throw it at your feet and then it will just go off and there's really nothing you can do about it in certain situations, to me feels a little cheap and just stupid. So I would love to see trap go away. Basically with Junkrat, I think what you want to keep intact is that like mobility stuff. You want to encourage the mobility a lot more and get rid of the spam. So the goals of this rework, as they have stated, are remove annoying elements such as trap and his spam playstyle, increase the skill floor by moving him away from spam. That's good too. And also bring back his one-shot threat without it being skillless and frustrating. So with one-shots, in my opinion, they are in theory okay so long as you have to work for them. So long as the conditions have to be built towards and you can't just always have it up, right? Like Widowmaker is frustrating because she doesn't have to work for her one-shot. She just kind of always has access to it, right? Whereas opposed to one-shots on ults are, I think, better because you have to build towards it. I think just setting up conditional one-shots so that the one-shot uptime is way less, but it's still a possibility to make a big play with a one-shot. I feel like that's the best way to go about it. So let's talk about these changes that they started. Number one, steel trap removed. Thank God. I guess we're going to get to it later. Primary fire projectile size decreased and direct damage was reduced. Splash damage also reduced. The total damage is now 104. So basically, moderate reduction, moderate to small reduction to damage here. Projectiles now instantly explode when hitting the floor. Oh, so no bouncing. I thought the bouncing is like in theory a fun thing for Junkrat, but in practice it really makes it more frustrating and allows his mines to just bounce around on the floor and just hit you randomly. I think if they were to bounce, I don't want them to work like Sigma's, but the idea with Sigma's is like it's very calculated when you try and bounce a shot with Sigma, right? Like there's a goal to it, and there's a lot of like fun trying to figure out the right angle to get some extra damage in around corners and stuff like that. Junkrat, in my opinion, doesn't really have that. I feel like it's much harder to do, less consistent, and also encourages that, bouncing on the ground and then it's just sitting there for a couple seconds. You don't know about it and all of that. Just random damage, basically. Them hitting the floor means it's going to be more of just like going for real splash damage, not necessarily trying to actually hit the projectile outright, which is cool. Projectiles now gain a critical multiplier of 1.5 when hitting airborne targets. Whoa. Total critical damage is 56. I like the idea of doing more damage to airborne targets. Wait, this is actually really cool because then this pairs with his mine. So then the mini game now becomes you're trying to boot people up and then hit them with the frag launcher, which is way more skillful than trying to hit them with another mine, right? Like you get more reward out of hitting them in the air. That's really cool. I really like that. That's really interesting. That's cooking. That's cooking. Because then the one shot is like Junkrat's the distance that he can throw the concussion mine is not very far. So like, if you're in Junkrat's range, then you'll know you're in danger of the one shot. But he also has to be very skillful with it, and also you have much more time to react. And he can't just make you like airborne like a couple inches off the ground and then hit you with it. It has to be like you have to fly for a distance and then you'll be in the range. I like this. I like this a lot. 7 meters from the ground seems a lot. I think it would just be like whenever you wouldn't be hit by Rhine Shatter. I don't know what the meterage actually is. I think 7 is probably too much. But I love this idea. I think that's really interesting. Concussion Mine is going to be unchanged. That's perfectly fine. Early detonation, new ability replacing Steel Trap. This explodes the tire on his back, launching him in the direction he is facing, and enemies behind him get launched in the opposite direction, similar to Ash's Coach Gun. So it's like Coach Gun, but backwards. I like that. That's kind of fun. Gives Junkrat forward mobility. Also gives him a good escape option for when you're trying to be more divey. This will deal 120 damage to the closest enemies and 94 to the furthest ones away. Okay, so it does a lot of damage. I could imagine you could like hit somebody and like turn around and then fire it. I think that could be cool. Larger cooldown because he already has plenty of mobility with his concussion mine, so adding just yet another big one, probably a little much. So yeah, longer cooldown. I could imagine that could be even longer too, depending. But I do like this. It gives him another like option for mobility and combo potential. You have a lot of different uses for this. Very cool. Very cool. I could even imagine you like mining yourself into the air and then like using this to like catch somebody, like hit them in the air, or I don't know. That could be just silly. Like I'm gonna troll you or something like that. But yeah, I really like this. This combos with the rest of his kit pretty well too. Giving Junkrat again leaning into that mobility play style, I think is way more fun and interesting. Definitely on board with this one as well. Total Mayhem passive, launch 3 of the 6 grenades into the air. That's dumb. That's silly. Would they explode in the air? Or would they fall down to the ground still? I would assume they would explode in the air. Whatever. I mean, that's not part of anything. Total Mayhem is already like just in a silly passive. We need more silly passives. Bring back Parting Gift. Just for fun. It sucks, but like, who cares, right? It's just funny. Okay. New passive. Undermining Explosives. Partially ignore knockback resistance and immunity for knockback in the vertical direction. Tank passive from 50 to 15. Immunity abilities 100 to 70%. Wait. Oh! Oh, okay. So, basically what it's saying is that Junkrat specifically gets to ignore lots of knockback resistance. He basically, his are more powerful. Or I guess it's not more powerful, it's more of like, they'll go the regular distance if you're a squishy, but they won't go like minus 50% if they're a tank, they'll go minus 15%. That seems like that might be a little too much, but okay, I'm not like, I'm down. I think I'm down, right? Because then you'll actually be able to hit people with knockback resistance and like actually displace them, even though most of the time it sounds like you should be going for squishies anyway. I'm okay with this. Immunity abilities, like ignoring intangibility abilities, I don't fuck with as much. Just because it doesn't quite make sense to me that, it's immunity, right? Ignoring immunity is a little... It feels like in game it's not going to feel good. It's like, oh, I did Suzu, but I still died during Suzu. Yes, those abilities are powerful. Maybe they need to be tuned down, but we want to have like a consistent game feel for both parties. So I'm not as keen on that, but I do like the knockback, like ignore knockback reduction by a little bit. I like that. I like that idea. So, Conclusion. Junkrat will keep the anti-dive utility as it has been moved from steel trap to early detonation. The bonus damage from his primary fire to diving tanks will also help him to dissuade dives. With this, he will also gain movement utility, able to launch himself in more than one direction. The new combo of launching someone in the air for a one-shot will allow him to gain some threat back, but also give people who are under threat of one-shot some time to react and use an ability to save themselves. Absolutely. This to me sounds more like it's less anti-dive and more he's going to be in the dive. Yes, it would work for anti-dive. In fact, that'd be like a good... Honestly, like a dive character that is good into dive as well makes mirrors really interesting. So yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. Also, I talked about it earlier, but it gives people time to react to one shots and save themselves. Also great. Certain characters are probably more susceptible to it. Like, what is Zenyatta gonna do without ultimate, right? But you know, it happens, right? It's part of the balance. Or it's just part of the design. Then we'll just be more susceptible. There'll be other characters that are more susceptible. Junkrat might need some projectile size there, so maybe the damage again was too high. Overall, I think they should do some give him more flexibility and make him more fun, as your job is to just launch people in the air and do air shots. To me, it doesn't sound like that's just your job. I feel like you have a lot more potential in this character. That is a good thing that you should be aiming for a lot of the time, but I feel like you have a lot more that you can do with Junkrat. I mess with this really hard. I actually really like these changes. I think this is a good solution without completely changing Junkrat's identity, without giving him too many new things. I feel like his early detonation ability could be a pretty easy implement. Yeah, I like this one a lot. This is probably one of my favorites that I've reacted to. So, good on you. This is going to get the Lane seal of approval. And if anybody else, again, if you want to send me your own reworks, you can join the Discord in the description. And I may react to it on stream, but that is going to be it for this video. If you like this video, please feel free to do any of that good YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. It does really help me out. I am almost at 400 subscribers by the time this one goes out. I'm still very excited about my growth. It is very steady. It is very good. So I thank everybody for that. And if you want to get in on these discussions live, I do react to them live on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Lane Hemingway. I am live usually Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, maybe an extra day in there between. And I try to do a discussion every single time I go live. So if that interests you, or if it doesn't, who cares? Thank you for watching the video. Have a good day.